Welcome to Drum and Drummer, a podcast focused on drums, drumming and drummers. I'm George Pickering and that's Ben Winty, and we are both professional drummers in this business we call music. So stick around and join us as we pass the time whilst trying to stay in time.
I'm excited about the product, the store, excited that they gave me an opportunity to be here. And I'll never show, no matter how hungry or tired I may be, that a person coming in is a nuisance.
Two bald-headed men talking about drums and stuff. Here we are. It's Drum and Drummer.
Got a guest. All I've heard from my mates recently is, are you getting any more guests on? Because you haven't really had any guests. Just chill out, all right? We got some coming up, you know. Ben and I have been busy. We've both just moved house, you know. Ben's got a new cat and a bizarre
Yes, I do.
chain in his garage for some reason.
Yes.
I've
been spending all my time clearing out sex bags.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to say it, you know.
I'm clearing out sex bags. I'm clearing out litter trays.
Yeah.
You know, I'm hoisting things up on my engine chain in the garage. Things,
why
people,
not?
whatever.
Wow.
You know, I'm a busy boy.
Exactly.
But today we do have a guest.
So
all of your little slug friends can shut the fuck up, yeah?
It's Jack Hickling that said it, actually. So
Oh,
you're
hi,
calling him
Jack.
a slug now, are you?
Love you, Jack. Let me know when your promo video's out, because I did the audio for it. It sounds really good. Right, yeah.
No, well,
right.
Jack Hickling's perfect segue. I've got to tell you this story quickly. So
Okay,
over the
okay.
weekend, I didn't have any gigs, and Jack was like, do you want to go to Bristol to go and see Pat Garvey's band? For those who don't know, who doesn't know by now, Pat Garvey is my drum teacher and also Jack's drum teacher. So I drove to Bournemouth, where watch what I do every fucking Saturday, because all my gigs seem to be in Bournemouth this year. And then
People
Jack
love getting married in Dorset.
It's ridiculous. So then Jack drove us up to Bristol. All I need to tell you about, it was very funny, was I had a lesson with Pat last month, and I talked to him about how sometimes in gigs I'll just try and worm the Smells Like Teen Spirit feel into different songs. Like if I'm on a gig with Dean, he'll play the lick, and then I'll do that. I'll do the ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And you know, there was one gig where I said I'm going to try and do it on every song, you know. And Pat found this funny and said, yeah, I have a similar thing. If I have a function gig and I play Superstition, I'll do some sort of mad double kick thing on the intro just to kind of make the band laugh. So went to watch his band at Bristol O2 Academy. Amazing gig. I've never seen anything like it. He was playing for Osric Tentacles. And
The Orgazoid.
and on the last, I did have a few Peep Show quotes whilst watching. You know, they're bringing it up. Oh, they're taking it down. Because Jack loves Peep Show too. So anyway, it gets to the last song, and Pat knew we were at the gig because you know, when they said,
Because you held a big sign up that said,
yeah, it's
Pat,
George,
it's
and,
George
Jack.
and Jack.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're your drum students. Do you remember us? When it got to, you know, and on the drums, Pat Garvey, and he sort of stood up and he kind of waved specifically at us, and Jack was like, oh, cool. He does know we're here. So anyway, it gets to the last song. They're like, this is our last song. And there's no encore either. It was like, the last song is the last song. And they're playing, and I hear him at one point do the Smells Like Teen Spirit drum fill. And I thought, that's fantastic. And I texted him after. I said, hey, man, amazing gig. Thanks for the guest list. By the way, was that the Smells Like Teen Spirit fill I heard? He said, yeah, good spot, you know. I thought that's brilliant. Even in the context of a gig like that, he's gone, as all drummers do, I'm going to try and make another drummer laugh, you know? And that's exactly what we do on this podcast, Ben, you know? So, yeah, great.
He's gone,
great
fuck integrity, fuck the band.
Yeah.
I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah.
Because those two little slugs in the crowd.
To make one person laugh, you know? Who didn't even pay to be here, you know?
Yeah, you got in on a free, you know? That's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, I just thought I'd do that story now, you know, because we've got a few guests coming up and I'll forget about it.
Yeah, no, that's nice. It's nice. Yeah, we do have a guest. Those who are regular listeners to the show will have heard about my trip to Florida, part 1 and 2. If you've not, if you're a new listener, willkommen. Go back, take a listen, yeah? Start with that, find out all about my holiday to Florida. I went to Disney, Universal, got engaged, went to a drum shop, loads of stuff. I got stuck on a ride. All sorts of things happened.
Yeah.
Go back and listen. But as I mentioned, I went to a drum shop, to the Daytona Beach Drum Center, where I met Dan Grabski.
Dan's a lovely man. Sorry.
And I bought, Dan, I've got your kids. No. And I bought a 70s Ludwig Acrolite from him. We had a good chat while I was in the store, and I said, "Hey, Dan, I've got a podcast.
Yeah.
Would you like to come
Have
on it?"
you? Yeah.
And so I reached out to him, and we had a conversation over the electronic mail. And hello, he's on the show. So this is all right. Also, so we got a lovely chat with Dan coming up. So stick around.
Yeah.
Right. I've got a follow-up story about that guy, that bully from school who died.
Oh, yeah. Fuck.
So I'm going to save it till after the interview.
Yeah. There's an
So
incentive.
come back to the end and listen, I've got to tell you it. And yes, we've got some more guests coming on, so I'll get through it. But anyway, here's our chat with Dan Grabski from the Daytona Beach Drum Center. Dan, thanks so much for coming on the show. Morning in Florida.
Right, yeah. Good afternoon to you. It's, what is it, 3 o'clock over there?
Yeah, 3 over here.
Excellent.
So for those who've listened to the show, listen to my Tales of Florida. I went to Daytona Beach Drum Center, met Dan, picked up a Ludwig Acrolite from him. But when we met, it was just after Hurricane Milton, and I turned up to the store and you were busy shifting stuff around. Not something we have to deal with over here, but as a shop owner and a resident, what was that kind of like in terms of preparation, and how much did it kind of affect things for you guys over there?
Fortunately, there wasn't any major damage. You know, it affects us greatly as far as, you know, you move to Florida for the weather, and then that's the weather you get. You know, it's wild. So how I looked at it, this is probably the worst storm. I've been here 7 years. This is like the worst storm I got to experience. And the shop is pretty close to the water, and my home is very close to the water. So my theory was I'd rather clean the whole place up with dry carpets and clean, beautiful, clean, dry gear than not prep and then roll up all the wet, soaking carpets and ruin the gear and everything. So I have to move it one way or another, right? So it's like I might as well just do the legwork. And fortunately, I have a great, you know, team of friends that everyone chipped in, and man, 50 tarps and garbage bags, everything was just covered and off the ground. So it was a ton of prep, and that's also a ton of prep putting it all back together. So about 2 weeks all in all, getting it together and getting the shop back to a presentable state.
What point did you go in, Ben? When, how far into the carpet moving were you?
I think I arrived maybe like, I'm pretty sure it was the Monday after, 4 days. You were still moving a few things back around. You were apologizing for the state of the store, like, please don't.
Yeah.
If you take photos, take photos of the good. This bit set up. Yeah.
So what the bummer was for this one, unfortunately, was to really make it extra difficult to storm, is that I was supposed to have a Matt Greiner drum clinic and masterclass Monday and Tuesday, and then the storm happened Wednesday. So it was literally Sunday, my time, 4 a.m. I'm getting wrapped up at the drum shop. Everything is set up, sound checked, mic, full system, personas, it's ready to roll. Tops, subs. And then Matt and I decided just hours later, why don't we cancel and reschedule the whole event? So, okay. So I set up for the whole event, tore down for the whole event, and then prepped up the whole drum shop for the storm. So it was like hustle and bustle. It was rocking, you know. But we got through it, man. It's good.
At least you got a practice run at setting it up, I guess.
Oh yeah, no, man. So then
if there is a positive, you know.
Yeah, no, we did a reschedule, and the event was absolutely stellar, and it was, yeah, like you said, it was nice to kind of get that dry run. But yeah, it was just added work to an already heavy workload for these storms.
When you were doing all the prep, are you able to sort of keep open and still have some business? Yeah.
You know, yeah, but no, like I had the doors unlocked, but everyone else was doing the same thing. You know, it's a lot of prep, and then post storm is like you're getting everything back together, and all you hear in the town are generators, chainsaws, people running the loads, getting sections of fence. Everyone's just kind of preoccupied for 2 weeks, like the week of the storm and the post week cleanup and rebuild.
I was going to say, you did plan your holiday timing wise terribly. I mean,
Got a taste of it.
I mean,
yeah.
we had like there was a storm, Helena or Helene, like a couple of weeks before, I think, that went
Yeah.
up the northwest coast. We saw that on the news over here, and then, you're sort of in holiday mode, you're a bit oblivious, and landing in Orlando, and then the Amber Alerts just on everyone's phones going off, and we were like, oh. And then the owner of the house we were staying in got in touch and was like, there's a storm coming, like
a real one. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
yeah.
I think, not that we weren't, a lot of relatives and friends were texting like, are you guys okay? And we're like, yeah, it's the Tuesday. We're like, yeah, it's sunny. I think then it
now and then.
Yeah, it was when
it got hit.
it was when Disney shut everything. We were like, okay, I think this is like
It's real.
Yeah.
And even speaking to locals at the parks and staff and other people and other shop owners, and they were like, yeah, we've people lived there 30 years, and they're like, this is the one we're worried about. And we were kind of like, well, all we can do is
Hang
just
on.
stay in,
Yeah, what are you gonna
hang
do?
on,
Yeah.
stay in, and it will pass. And where we were, it was heavy rain, heavy wind, but after Thursday, so Friday, everything sort of opened back up, and we were back up and running. But yeah, I hope you were pleased, Dan, to see I got the Acrolite back in in one
I have
piece.
to give you credit. That was fine packing. You shared a picture with the socks and the jeans and how nicely that was done. It's
I have to give full credit to my partner for that.
she made it work, huh?
Yeah. She, I mean, thankfully we bought a lot of socks while on holiday. But she did a great job. Yeah, I got it back, and I'd let you know as well that I took it down to our local drum shop here, and they had a birthday celebration, and a guy from Evans was down, and he got it skinned up and tuned up and stuff, and he really enjoyed the fact that it had travelled all the way from Florida.
It has a bit of a story and some history behind that one. It's
Yeah, definitely. But you got such a lovely shop, man. Even
I appreciate it.
what I saw, was kind of a bit up in the air with the post-storm. But you mentioned you've been there about 7 years. So where are you originally from, and what led you to having the drum store?
So I'm originally from the Northeast. So my whole family and half of my first part of my life was New York, and then the second part of my life was Pennsylvania. So then I lived in the Harrisburg area, like right outside the capital of Pennsylvania, and I'd been there and my whole life. And then we came here to visit my grandmother who lives in Norman Beach, and we came because of the weather. We came down here, and at that point for a while I was in the music industry, in the music business. I was working at a major drum shop in Pennsylvania, which Dale's Drum Shop, I'll give them a shout out there. They're absolutely incredible guys. They taught me a lot. Those are great guys. So if you're ever in Northeast Pennsylvania, Harrisburg area, check them out. They're great. But so at that point I was taking a small break from the music industry, and then came down here. And at that point I was like, I just want to live near the water. My wife and I didn't have kids at the time. So we visited, went home, sold our house, and then moved down here just 2 months after that. And this was 2017. I had no intentions of owning or opening a drum shop when we moved down here. And then initially I was working for a small local combo shop. It's a nice independent store, but they do guitars and, not a specialized drum shop. So in that short amount of time, within the first few months of living here in 2017, I was like, I think there's definitely a need for a drum shop. So that I just did it. I was like, I'm going to just give it a shot. So I had a small first location. And within the first few months of living here, within 6 months of being in Florida and purchasing our home, I opened up my drum shop. And that was March 2018, we officially opened the doors.
Wow.
It was not planned. Everyone's like, so you plan to move down here and open the shop? I'm like, I had no idea. I was planning to come down here and work at a bike shop, do gigs, whatever. I just wanted to get back into roots work, because I got into finance, automotive finance for a little bit, and that was not rewarding in any way. Financially, maybe, but personally, it was horrible. So, moving down here and opening up the shop on just a whim, it was just taking a shot, and here we are about 7 years later.
Nice,
amazing.
Did you notice there was is there a particularly vibrant music scene in specifically Daytona Beach? Is that what helped you settle on a location?
You can call me a fan of Daytona Beach, because it kind of goes like any any town you're from, I don't care. You could be born and raised in, let's say, Baltimore, and everyone's like, oh man, it sucks here. There's nothing happening in Baltimore. No, Baltimore's happening. It's like you can be born and raised in, these great towns like Daytona Beach. So I'm not from here. So I see the potential in this town. And I'm from the north where it's just a totally different music and gigging environment. Whereas here you have an entire ocean lined with hotels, restaurants, clubs, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, nightly music. And you have all those opportunities to play on a Tuesday night. Where I'm from, Pennsylvania, you're not playing on Tuesday night, dude. You're watching Netflix or you're having band practice or something, So the fact that there's able to have Sunday gigs and Tuesday and Wednesday gigs right here in Daytona Beach, I think it's a great environment for vacation style. You play on a deck on Sunday between 1 and 5:30 and you watch boats go by with the sunset. It's not bad, dude. It's cool, And there's plenty of work out there if you're willing to get the work and if you deserve the work.
Was gigging in the area something you got into when you first moved down?
Very much. Yeah. So that I opened up the store and then I was with a duo. That's been extremely successful down here. So that's me playing full drum set and then a partner, my guy Jeff, playing guitar and singing. And the first year of opening the shop, of course, I had to subsidize, and keep on hustling. So we figured out 228 gigs that year, and that's local. Wow. Within a third, I wouldn't cross the highway. That's all within a 30-mile radius. So
wow.
Anyone that says they're in gigs, they don't deserve them. Because I had plenty. We were doing verticals, doing steady 4 nights a week, many times. So I backed that down, and then I had a vertical as a house band at the the Hilton Oceanfront Resort, which is about 750 plus room oceanfront hotel, and they have multiple clubs. And I had that for 3 years. So that gave me a steady about 125 gigs a year while doing the shop. So
wow.
Yeah, up until very recently, I'm taking a little time off from playing because I've been doing it since I got here, 7 years of just 100 plus shows, and the shop and a wife, and I have 2 kids, and my parents moved down here. It's just a lot, So
Yeah.
A bit of a breather.
A breather. Now I'm only doing 100 shows a year.
Right, exactly. Just back her down a little bit.
I've cut it down.
Yeah.
To 100. You use the word vertical. You said, "Oh, I got a vertical." Vertical. What does that mean? What do you mean by that?
So so if you look at a calendar, every Wednesday it's a vertical, or every Thursday.
Okay.
So I have a vertical at that club every Thursday.
I've never heard that phrase.
No, I'm going to use that all the time now.
Yeah,
that's brilliant. I have a question. This is my kind of main question talking about the shop, because I think it can be seen as a simple question, but I'm sure as someone who's owned a drum shop for 7 years, there's a lot to it. How important is it to maintain good stock in a drum shop?
Good stock as far as quantity, yes. But I would rather be focused on less quantity of generic stock and very specialized and unique inventory or stock to give someone a reason to come into the store. Or if they do come into the store, it's something they haven't seen, they didn't know existed. It generates questions. It's just more of an experience, So the stock, I try to curate it to be very specialized. And I think any store that's looking to do this, you really have to go against the grain. You can't just, for example, a Pearl export kit, for the sake of putting a $5.99 Pearl export kit on the floor is probably not going to get people banging down or drive 3 hours to come see the shop if that's what you're offering. But we have 100 of them. Cool, man. I'd rather have 20 high-end kits, or 20 unique specialized kits, or even if you have to hit that price point, maybe do it in a brand that you might be able to develop a relationship with, or, just have good offerings, because the internet's a powerful place and there's a lot of drums out there. So unless you have something special, you have to give them a reason to come in.
Yeah, 100%. I only asked because we had on Graham Russell from Graham Russell Drums, a big UK drum shop, and he talked about, if you have stock, then people have a reason to come in and they can try things. And on the flip side, I'm aware of other drum shops who perhaps don't have as much, and then people go in and go, well, there isn't anything here, and I can just look online, you know what I mean? And there's a drum shop in where I live, and I know for a fact, people kind of just go there for sticks and skins, you know, because as you said, there's nothing that's drawing you know people to the shop. You know, there's no like, oh wow, those guys have the custom drum kits that I'm interested in, or they have this and that, you know. And it's yeah, so that's interesting that you say it's not just the quantity of it, but it's the sort of, because I guess if you know, if you're the drum shop in the area that is a niche drum shop, then people will travel from, I guess, other states, you know. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I get other states. I've been having international all the time. Just yesterday, I had folks from Brazil. Ben was just here. You know, I get folks from Argentina, and I get all over. Yeah, Germany. I have folks. That's what's nice about Daytona Beach. It is more of a branded town. This isn't something in the middle of Indiana, which is odd that the largest, you know, Sweetwater's in Indiana. You know, it's in the middle of a cornfield. But you know, this town does draw and bring people in. So back to your inventory. Well, Ben came into the shop and left with something. You know, if I had the shop filled with a whole bunch of brand new $299 snare drums made by every imported manufacturer, it's like, oh, cool, man. He had a lot of drums, and you would just, you know, moved on. But you convinced yourself that I can fit in the suitcase. Like, it was even difficult. You had to buy, you know, and you still were like, no, it's so cool though. I got to get it, you know. So that's really, I think, what's important on the inventory.
Yeah. I mean, I did go to a guitar center. Just I'd never been to one before, and I wanted to see what it was about. And the thing they had there that I had never seen in person, because I don't think it had reached the UK yet, was the Zildjian Alchemy, their new electric kit. So it was cool to see that. But looking around, and it was like everything was brand new, and it was just a Mapex Armory and a Stage Custom and a, you know, and the cymbals were like
fine drums, you know.
Yeah, all good stuff. But I think when you know, when my partner
Zildjians, you know,
when my partner, you know, we were looking to see if there's any drum shops in the area, and she found yours, and I looked at your site and I was like, well, you've got stuff I've never even heard of in your store. And what I love about Graham Russell over here and places like yourself, you might find something you've never seen or heard before. You might find a bit of a bargain, something a bit unique, something a bit custom. Parts, and so you know, we knew, you know, I knew from what you guys were doing that it was worth, you know, the hour-and-a-half trip from Orlando. And so you know, I came away with an Acrolite.
And you came home with a 70s Acro.
Yeah. What are there any sort of brand? I remember we were looking at your cymbal inventory, and I'm pretty sure you pointed out a brand of cymbal. It maybe they were from Brazil.
Yes. Yeah.
So are there any brands like that, or with drums as well, that maybe a lot of people haven't heard of, that you feel that you're stocking, or that you feel are, you know, very decent?
Should get a little attention, right?
Yeah.
Well, it really has to come down to what's available anymore. You know, I was doing at one point a lot of business with British Drum Company. I like what British Drum Company has going on. I think their Palladium lugs and that whole Art Deco design is just out. You know, it's nice drums. You know, and unfortunately, they don't have U.S. distribution at this time. So as much as I would like to continually stock their product, now I'll have to go direct to UK, and then we have the shipping and the duties, and you know, it's great when a company has US hubs so we can eliminate those difficulties. For instance, Canopus, big fan of their beautiful Japanese drums, you know, especially something like Zelkova snares and whatnot, just outstanding. I have an excellent relationship with them. Getting them in makes it a little bit more difficult because it's direct from Japan, taxes, duties, air freight, the whole bit. So it really has to come with the accessibility. There's a lot of great independent brands that I would love to continually stock or get my hands on and stock more of. Is just logistic difficulties sometimes. As far as drum sets, what I think I'm a big fan of, and I think truly, in my opinion, you know, I'll put it on the record, the best mass-produced, and when I say mass-produced, like a factory that is established, you know, drum builder. I think Sonar is been offering and continually offering some of the finest drum products for any drummer at any level. Even their most affordable stuff is, I feel, superior to the other products in that segment per se, So Sonar is a major brand, but you don't go into every drum shop and see high-end Sonar SQ2s or SQ1s or Pro Light or one-of-a-kind snare. So I think that's a good balance for a well-branded and well-built drum, but still has that mystique and that niche to it. So I would say for guys to check that out as like, I don't know how prominent Sonar is in the UK, because in the States it's not in every shop.
Yeah, they do feel like they're in between. It's like I feel like there's, you think of
it's a major
in the UK, it's
boutique.
Yeah. It's there's pearls and tammers in the UK, but then Sonar is like it's there, but it's
Oh, that guy's playing a Sonar.
Yeah.
I still feel it's a little bit of a like. If you see someone play Sonar, you're like, okay.
What's up? Okay, right.
Yeah.
It has that mystique still to it.
Yeah.
One of my favorite ever
very
drummers
noble and
was a
cool-y,
Sonar player. Yeah,
Who's
I think
that?
Graham. There's a British band called Reuben.
Okay.
They were pretty like they weren't ever mainstream or anything like that. They were a 3-piece sort of British rock group, and one of those bands where when I first heard it, I just went, "This is what." They have summed up what I like about music, and their drummer Guy Davis, who very kindly actually came on the podcast quite early on.
Nice.
He was a Sonar player, and his drumming on the album is just phenomenal and stuff. And that's when I sort of first heard of them. But I've seen him about. We saw him at the UK Drum Show, Sonar, and I'm pretty sure Graham Russell down here, they've always got like SQ2s on display, and they are always raving about them. So I think proximity probably to Germany is just obviously a bit closer here.
But still, it's not overly saturated,
Correct, yeah.
Even, in your neck of the woods, where I also find with a brand like Sonar. So we just said the drummer for, you said, what were they called?
Reuben.
Reuben? Okay.
Yeah.
So Reuben, the band drummer, we're like, man, this guy is great. And he plays Sonar. But we didn't say Sonar what? All you saw was Sonar, And I find that really interesting in certain brands. And I feel Sonar does a good job with that, where what kind of drum set do you play? A Sonar. Okay. What kind of car do you drive? Well, Ford. Well, Ford what? Ford truck, a Ford car. But if I said, hey, I drive I don't know, give me some stupid car. I don't know. I drive a Rolls Royce. Ooh. You're going to say, well, what kind of Rolls Royce?
Yeah.
So with a brand like Sonar, I think it's really cool. We didn't say what series it was, but there was a $600 kit or $6,000 kit. So yeah, that guy's playing Sonar. Cool, man. What's up? That he knows what's up, because there still has that mystique where unfortunately hey, I'm playing a Tama. Oh yeah, what the Tama? What, the Star, the Imperial? There's such a gauge, and they did some of these companies, even such as DW. Man, it's like, oh, I have a DW. Well, do you? What do you have? A design series or a collector series? It's like they did the C-Class Mercedes thing. They kind of made sure they covered all bases, but I feel you lose a lot of your mystique or somewhat credibility in that. Where Sonar, I feel, is, if you're playing Sonar, their kits start at $3,000 and they're really well made in Germany, and the whole story, and you're a drummer's brand. I feel they're doing a really great job keeping that integrity.
Maybe it's also to do with, if you think about, I don't know, if you're a young drummer and you see Dave Grohl's playing a Tama, you go, oh, maybe I'll get a Tama. Maybe it's that sort of thing. I feel like perhaps the Sonar people, I don't know, they almost might not be in those mainstream bands as much, because you do sort of play what you see. I played Zildjian cymbals because all of my favorite drummers played Zildjian cymbals, but I'm sure it's the same with certain, brands that are perhaps a bit more, I don't even want to say niche, but something like Istanbul, that it's still a top brand, but it's sort of like you have to, you have to explore. You got to explore cymbals a bit more, rather than going, oh, I've seen Trey Cool use that, so I get that. That's it. As opposed to, maybe that's what Sonar is a bit more, and it's kind of
maybe
like,
the tricky thing then is, well, not tricky, but if Zildjian, Yamaha, you see, like George said, he sees these brands on TV at gigs, and those companies know that
Guitar Center,
yeah, they know the young people are going to want to emulate their idols, but a young person, a 10-year-old can't afford a £360 ride cymbal or $400 pair of hats. So they then make the lesser models
like the ZBTs or exports and things like that, and
you get the rarities like
to fulfill that
price point.
Whereas, you know, one thing I really love about British Drum Company
is they're like, these are our kits and that's it.
There is no
perfect example.
We are
you're
not
starting out
sacrificing quality
with all the cymbals. No, this is what we do. This is a drummer's brand. When do you play? Oh, a British kit. Oh, no kidding. That's ooh, nice. And I'm not. What model? Which one? Did you get the cheap one? No, they're all amazing. And but cost doesn't determine quality. But in this, it's like no, you have to make a commitment to play some of these brands. And I like them keeping that integrity. Back to. I just want to touch on. You know, you played Zildjian because let's say Trey Cool and George and Ben, myself. You know, we're all probably a little older than the 15-year-old kids that are in the market, and we're influenced differently. And I question, does it matter? Like the kids aren't seeing the picture of Trey Cool in the back of the magazine because there isn't a back of the magazine for him to see, and he has no idea who Trey Cool is. His dad might know, but the 15-year-old doesn't. So I'm curious on what is influencing potential 15-year-old drummers, because it's not the same influences we had. You know, we didn't have. I don't see 15-year-olds having Dave Grohl posters on the wall because they don't. It's just not that era. It's not influenced like that. I know, of course, phone and TikTok and Instagram, but what else? What else is there to influence these kids? Or what do you guys see on your end?
I think Instagram is obviously massive and TikTok, and I wonder if the young drummers now perhaps see people online that aren't in famous rock bands. I mean, Grayson the Coot Drum's probably a perfect example. If you're a young drummer and you're scrolling on Instagram and you see him doing, I don't know, he started doing those jazz covers and now he's now the brilliant metal drummer, you know, he can do everything. But it's sort of like, maybe it's more like that. Maybe rather than watching MTV and being like, oh, there's Dave Grohl or there's whatever, maybe it's sort of drummers nowadays are sort of watching actual.
That's like, could be your neighbor. You know, these guys aren't untouchable rock stars. These are just cats that
just playing in their room.
Work.
Yeah,
we're the ones influencing now. Me and George, we're the.
Yes, you guys are selling cymbals by the truckloads for the companies. Yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I find it really interesting. It's just a different time. I've been doing this for 20 years, and I remember not that long ago when we were kids who were influenced. Like, you know, I was. Gotta have that cymbal or snare drum, you know. And I just feel it's so different. And I don't want to say we're putting all our efforts into only social media, but I feel that's kind of it sometimes, where, well, all the advertisement and all the energy and all the awareness is only going into social media. And I feel the companies or how I said, I just did a Matt Greiner event, which I had to put on. Matt and myself had to organize. The companies did not support or participate in any way. I feel that the companies or even just the market is missing some of those other like opportunities. I remember going to drum clinics and having product day events. You know, Ben, you said you had Evans at that drum shop doing an event. Very cool. You went in, you bought a couple things, you did a hang. I feel that we're missing a lot of that, and up and coming drummers aren't getting the opportunity to experience the camaraderie.
I think one of the issues for me is, you know, you'll see videos of drum companies being like, here's our new cymbal, here's a cymbal, here's a snare drum, or here's a kit. And, you know, I'm guilty of it as well, where you just listen through your phone speakers and because you're scrolling and you're like, well, I can't tell the difference, but I can't tell
in the bathroom.
Yeah.
I
can't tell if that's any good. You almost want the drum companies to go, this, you'll never hear how good this drum is through your phone, so we're not going to show you through your phone.
You know, or
some way that you can only listen to the audio if it knows you've got headphones in. And I think there's something with drums that's so key, and why we love
Graham Russell over here,
is you can go and hear it yourself.
You can physically go in, they look after you well, as you did, Dan, as well,
and you can go and hear those things in person and actually play them. And that's something that I see a lot on Reddit. People like, oh, I'm looking at these 2 kits on Amazon or Sweetwater, and they're online links, and people are like, go and play it. And I know not everyone has access to a drum shop nearby or something, a music store. For me, it's like, I've got to go hear it. I've got to go play it to make sure it's something
something I want. But you see,
Nailed
like
that, Ben. Like, I don't know much about Graham Russell, but it sounds like an excellent shop, and it sounds like how you mentioned similar to mine and how we conduct business. If you're expecting or wanting your potential customer or person to drive 10 minutes down the road, let alone an hour plus, 3 hours, and man, I really want to, hell, a midline kit. I want to play a classic maple Ludwig, $2,500, nice sun drum set. And they're like, they come to XYZ store and they're like, oh yeah, here, check out the classic maple. Yeah, okay, it's on the shelf. You can't play it. We'll get an attendee to help you, or it's like, don't touch, and they're like following you. Those kind of environments where it's like, dude, I'm not stealing anything. I drove here. I want to check out a piece of gear, and then they get a horrible potential experience. They're going into a store that treats them like a thief, or doesn't give them the opportunity. Well, we got to keep those new. Okay, I'll buy it if I want. Like, well, it's only drums. I'm not gonna Guitar Center it. That's the extreme where they just drop their kids off at the playground kind of situation, where there are many shops, and I get compliments at mine because of, hell, if you come in here, you have to be a real idiot if you can't see this stuff's expensive. I'm sorry. So most people treat it with respect, and I don't have any problems. And people thank me and compliment, like, man, dude, that's awesome. It's like, well, yeah, play any snare drum you want, man. You're not gonna hurt it. We're not abusing this stuff. But there's too many stores out there that are just, nope, hands off. It's chained off. You can't go in that department, or let me get a sales associate to follow you in there and handle the cymbals. The door's locked. Like, dude, I'll just order online if that's the case. If I can't play it in the store, I'll just won't play it, and I'll just order the damn thing and get free shipping returning back if I don't like it, which then also gives a bad rap for the people who do let people play like my store. So in a hypothetical situation, I want to go this music store, that one, and the third one, looking for a guitar, even whatever. Yeah, the first store didn't have shit. Okay. Second store, man, they treated me like I was a thief, man. This is horrible. And then the third one, like, you know what? I'm not even going to the third one. That could be my store, which would be a stellar experience. But I didn't even get the opportunity because the other two stores just shit it so bad. It's it's interesting. Oh, baby, she came crashing down.
Yeah.
One thing that a parallel with Graham Russell, yourself, Dan, and even Good Hands Drum Shop in New York that I visited at Christmas.
Okay.
They had loads of vintage stuff and secondhand stuff, and I thought I'll go in just to go and see it, and that'll be cool. But if they've got some new beats, that'll be great. And there's so much gear in there and all this, and the guys were like, just grab whatever you want, take it in the drum room.
Thank you
and
for
just,
being here. Yeah.
And just play. And they had such a great selection as well. And because of that freedom, and yourself, Dan, when I was in your store, and you're like, yeah, just grab any snare you want. I'll get you a stand. Here's some sticks. You were busy putting carpet back.
Carpet or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Take the plastic off.
And I think as a purchaser, that time is for me as well, it's very important to be allowed that time to think and
not have a guy up your ass. Oh, they sound good.
Yeah.
They sound real good. Dude, give me a second, brother. It's
let me
transaction.
Kind of think about my budget. Let me think about my sound, what I'm after, and having that freedom, without someone constantly watching you or talking to you to be like, oh, I can, maybe I can just check. I'll check this now. I'll check this one. And same with Graham. Like, he's like, just grab whatever you want, take it on the kit. Like, right, I'm gonna get 8 crashes. Halfway through playing, I'm not sure. Maybe I'll just go and see if there's another one. And you can just sort of leave your stuff there. And same with Good Hands. They were like, just grab it if you want, take it in the room. And, and then half an hour later, I left with a pair of new beats. So I think that's really, that's key as a shopper, as a customer.
To have you come in with a high guard. Like, okay, what am I getting into? Who's this guy? Is he some 80s metalhead? Especially parents, they come into like the drum shop. It might as well be a tattoo shop. It's kind of intimidating, especially if you don't know shit about this, And the first thing is like, they look around, they're like, oh, this place is cool. It's very, what's my sister say? It's like my adult bedroom. There's like just tchotchkes and knickknacks of my personal life. It's just an extension of myself. So they come in and like mom or dad and just kind of like looks around. They're like, okay. And then I offer them a water. Can I get you guys a soda, water? The restroom's right there. Anything you want, let me know. And they're like, okay, this isn't the car sales. They're not afraid to ask a question. I'm, hey guys, thank you so much. I'm excited about the product, the store, excited that they gave me an opportunity to be here. And I'll never show, no matter how hungry or tired I may be, that a person coming in is a nuisance, because they pick up on that immediately and they will never come back. And make sure that you balance out I don't ignore them. Like, shit, that guy hasn't asked me if I'm good for 20 minutes and he's been on his computer the whole time. That's never going to happen. But then also are you good? You need those. How many hi-hats do you have? I'll give you a good deal on yours. Hey, we'll take yours on trade. It's like, bro, that's horrible. There's extremes with that. And I also hear like I said, the extremes where I touched on. You walk in, it's like, hey, what do you want? I'm sorry to bother you. I just wanted to see your store. You open? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's like a half-eaten like Chinese food dish on the counter, and it's like, what the hell, man? It's just trying to find that balance.
I'd like to talk about wedding gigs in America and kind of how they're made up. And obviously myself and George, we do a lot of wedding gigs over here. And I was quite interested to sort of learn, see what the differences are. Because I can see, I might be wrong, but there's I see some wedding function gigs that you're there all day. The band is there all day. And I just kind of wanted to get an idea of what standard US wedding function gig, what that entails for the musician, if that's possible.
Oh yeah, totally. It's I've had my fair share, I guess as many as you could, because frankly there isn't many wedding gigs anymore. If it was 1985, I probably wouldn't own a drum shop. I'll be doing wedding gigs 6 days a week, because it was just, you needed a wedding band and they were getting paid, and you're playing Earth, Wind, and Fire tunes and Barry Manilow or whatever you have to do, and you're playing in a 6-8 piece band with horns and a tux, and you made 3-4 G's that week, because each $7,000 for the band in 1985, and you're doing pretty good. Shit, now I get a wedding gig every. I'm better off playing corporate Christmas parties than wedding gigs, because they're just so few and far in between. It's just the DJ has taken over. Okay. If anything, any wedding gigs that I find that's most common is reception dinners. So maybe they'll have the dinner, not reception dinners, was it the rehearsal dinners? So like the day before, they'll usually do the rehearsal for the wedding, and then afterwards they'll have some kind of party, a little bit smaller than the whole wedding, and you play barbecue, luau, whatever kind of thing like that. As far as formal weddings, unless it's a less formal wedding, let's say backyard style, pig roast, who knows, shotgun, middle of the woods wedding, sure, you can set up and your drums near a porta potty or something like that. But as far as doing traditional wedding halls, it's not a whole lot, to be honest with you. And wow. Especially in this neighborhood or in Pennsylvania, where I'm primarily was gigging. I'm sure New York and Massachusetts or some other demographics might have more of the traditional wedding with the halls, big Italian wedding halls and whatnot. But hell, even still, man, it's the DJ. They do such a good job. Like, yo, dollar dance, grandma, get on the floor, because they're your MC. They're announcing the bride and groom. They're doing the whole wedding party announcements. Like, it's a one package thing with the DJ. So I don't. How does it differ in
well, I think
the
thing
UK with weddings, is that prominent?
Well, I think the references I'm getting are from a bit online, but also are mainly from
that's
US
all fake. It's online, dude. It's fake.
TV shows and movies, and you have like Step Brothers with like the Catalina
right.
wine mixer.
Catalina wine, yeah.
And so there seems to be a lot of first dancers or bands playing in the afternoon at these sorts of events. And I've seen, somewhere it's expected for a band to play sort of between 3 and 4 hours. Oh, totally. That sort of thing. So UK standard weddings with live music are very popular.
Okay.
I think it dipped from COVID, but looking at my calendar next year, it's going back up. I guess, obviously we have the UK has always had a very vibrant music scene overall. But our sort of standard day is really, we get there at 5, between 5 and 6 in the evening. Usually while the wedding, we don't have rehearsal dinners over here. So everything is just on the day. And then we kind of set up while they're finishing dinner and have a few drinks and do their speeches. And then we'll do 2 hours of music, normally between 7:30 and 11. And then the whole thing finishes at midnight.
What?
And
and you might get some leftover chicken scampi or something. You know,
It's usually cheese and cake.
Cheese.
That's
a
what it
lot
is.
of cheese.
that's the leftover.
Yeah.
Here you go. It's a cheese platter. Platter.
Well, because I do this thing, Dan, where I don't really eat before gigs, so then I'm starving afterwards, and it's all that's left is wedding cake, you know. So you sort of replenish 12 hours of, you know, shifting gear and gigging with
high sugar.
with high sugar and cheese, possibly. You know, if there's a cheese board as well. Very unhealthy,
Gotcha.
but delicious. You know.
That's funny. I'm the guy that I've already eaten like second floor, Tom. Put a sandwich right there.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
not. I can't play without eating, dude. I'll fall off the chair. I like.
What? While you're playing, you eat.
I'll eat while I play. I've done it many
I
times,
love it.
dude.
I love
It's
it.
like
Yeah.
I'm so hungry. I gotta finish the second slice of pizza, and we're back on. I'm like, shit.
Yeah.
So I'll just I have half of it sitting there, and I'm munching it during the first song of the second set, because I will just fade to nothing. I'm much better if I have a belly full of cheesesteaks or.
Fair enough. I think I'd die if that happened. Although it's weird when it's boring. When I play bass, I sometimes play bass with Ben's band. We've got a gig this week. I can eat whatever I want for a gig on bass. I think because I'm stood up.
Stood up, man.
Yeah,
Stood
but
up.
drums, as soon as I'm sat down, I'm like, oh, God,
Man.
sluggish,
Yeah.
you know?
Mhm.
But,
Well, I
yeah.
would
That
say,
just shows
you
that
know,
we work harder.
yeah, we are the
Put in the
athletes of
work,
the band, isn't
Yeah,
it?
much.
exactly. I mean, what's bass, for God's sake?
I always call us. I equate us to the goalie of the band.
Yeah.
Because I always think of it this way, where, man, the drummer has to haul all that shit. I'm like, yep, and I sit all night. So
Yeah.
I'd rather do work in the beginning, and I bring in a small drum set, and I'm sitting all night, and I'll have a good Les Paul wrapped around my neck. Where the goalies have to bring in all that gear, but they're not skating the rink, man. They're just guarding their post. So
Very
it's
true.
a little bit extra luggage, but I'm sitting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, spot on. Ben, how long have we got before we do the... What else have you want to ask?
Well, I just wanted to see like that kind of rundown of a UK wedding function gig. How does that sound
so
to
I want
like?
to wrap that. So nothing like America. If anything, like I have in Orlando some great players, and one in particular, my buddy Ian. Cat's working, man, and he was doing 3 days a week, 4 days a week with Disney, another 2 or 3 days a week on salary with Universal Studios, and then just cleaning up on the corporate gigs. But as far as weddings, not so much, man. Maybe here and there, and that'll be probably the cat that would do the most of them. You look at anything he's doing, or when I talk to him, it's like spring fling or some kind of a event in the park, or whatever, some food truck event or something like that. You're much apt to play those than weddings. It's just not a common thing to hire a wedding band like it was 20 years, 30 years ago, especially.
Before we go, Dan, we like to ask our guests one final question, and it'll be
what's
very
good?
interesting to get a US perspective on this. But who is your favorite delivery company?
UPS.
Oh, straight in there.
There you go. No messing
No,
about.
no delay, Holmes. No delay.
Yeah.
FedEx, forget about it, dude. I've had,
Really?
I hear a lot
I've
about them
watched
going
them.
downhill.
well, rolling the drums like it's going downhill. I've watched them already, like 22-inch Star Classic Babinga, like just rolling the bass drum box. Like, bro, I packed it well, but
Yeah.
let's give it a break here. It's like it still has to get to its destination. And I know, I'm homies, my UPS guys. Shit, I've been in their trucks many times, and they're packed better, and they actually have shelves. There's been countless times where the FedEx trucks, they don't even have wall shelves or anything. It's literally a box truck that is just like accelerate as hard as you can and then hit the brakes as hard as you can. And it's just all tumbled on each other, and it's just chaos. I couldn't imagine shipping, irreplaceable vintage or high-end rarity drums in that manner. It's pretty terrible.
Do you do a lot of
Yes, I'm
shipping
not
from
saying
your
they're
store?
perfect. I try not to. I hate it, dude. Perfect example. It's like I didn't open up this store to do eBay and online listings. I would have just did that at my house. I opened up the store to have the drummer hang and the camaraderie and everything. But then you have stores like that don't have shit and they had 2 ride symbols. Like you went and well, yeah, we got some stuff online.
Yeah.
And why the fuck do you have a store then, dude? Just keep your shit online, you know?
Literally.
So I try to, I'm old school, man, and it's kind of silly, but I'm like, no, I believe in it. We can, retail's not dead, And fortunately, my foot traffic is busy enough where I don't have to rely online. Don't get me wrong, one carries the other if it's slow and, hey, we had a slower foot at the store, but we sold 3 snare drums online. Cool, whatever. But I try to do as little as I need to and focus most of my energy on the store. And even with new products, I typically have it in the store for, well, until I can even get to it, like weeks, sometimes 2, 3, 4 weeks in store, but not listed online at all, and give my homies first crack. If you're coming into the store, I want you to get that ride symbol.
Yeah.
Opposed to some guy in Oregon from 3,000, 2,000 miles away who, frankly, he didn't even know he ordered it from Daytona Beach Drum Center. He just saw it, bought it, and he's never going to come here, and he doesn't give a shit about me. So I'd rather, give the opportunity to the people who really support the shop and the guys that are wrapping drums in plastic right before a storm, those kind of people.
And I think, with physical stores like yourself, it's important, that I think we keep joining forces, and spreading the good word, and hopefully,
We'll be allies, not like step on each other's backs to get the wedding gig. Like, if you can't do the gig, toss it to your buddy. If you hear something, give it to him. Hey man, I heard so-and-so is going to be booking. You should check it out. Don't keep it on the wraps just so the guy can't get it. It's
like George is,
foolish.
7th on my list. That's how.
Hey, you made the list.
Yeah, I made the list. Yeah.
I guess we can even almost leave off with this, but it's something that everyone can do. It's something that you can do your whole life. You put the time in and you do your whole life, where being a professional athlete, you kick your ass throughout, your young teens and college years. And then you live on to the glory days and you watch it on TV. You say, oh man, I scored 4 touchdowns in one game or something like that. It's, where I think that's so cool, whether it's a drummer or a guitar player, musician, it's sports driven, but we have the benefit of we're able to do this our whole life.
Definitely.
Cool.
Definitely.
No reason not to.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
man,
I think it's,
why not? Do it. Play.
Yeah. And I think that's is something, when you're in your 20s, as I am for like 4 more days, it can be a thing of, oh shit, I have to do this before this age, or I have to do. And we had this drummer on, Bob Knight, he plays for Rita Ora. He's played for a lot of people. He's a MD fixer, and he was talking about it. He says he has people come to him and say, I'm 26 and I've never done a tour, and he was like, chill out, you're all right. There's no. It's not like you peak at 30 as a drummer and then that's it, you're done. It's like you just keep going. You know what I mean? Bernard Purdy the other day was in London and he was playing a gig and he's, I think, nearly 90, Exactly. No one said he's too old.
Had Steve Gadd and
yeah, oh my God, yeah.
And all the Weckl and Kai Luda. Dude, those cats ain't young, brother. They're legends for a reason.
Yeah.
And they're still doing it,
Yeah.
But when was the last time, Gretzky really, dude, he's just an amazing athlete, Tyson, amazing boxer.
Yeah.
But you're still not the same as you were in your prime.
Mm.
What's beautiful about music is that you're only better if you stuck with it. You could smoke how you played in your 30s, in your 50s, because you're good, you're strong. You worked efficiently and ergonomically and learned how to play. It's a lifetime enjoyment, and a lifetime commitment, where sports and some other things, skateboarding, dude, you're not hitting handrails at 40.
Yeah.
It's typically not the case. Having the opportunity to do something like this your entire life, that's where you really learn that feel, and just, dude, that guy's just playing a 4/4 groove, and it's the nastiest, coolest thing we've ever heard. And it sounds different than we could, because we're not Steve Jordan, and you can't teach that. That's only through experience.
Yeah.
Dan, thanks so much for your time, man. It's great to catch up, and great to see you. Best of luck with the store, and we'll point everyone your way, and hopefully people will.
We're just a short drive in Florida, just come on over.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to come back.
Disney World and the drum shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, the storm didn't scare you. You gonna come back?
Oh, I'll definitely come back. Yeah. Made it. It's
Perfect.
Great podcast material. What can I say? And
Oh yeah, it gave you beautiful experience of Florida firsthand, and now you get to tell a story.
Yeah,
you lived it, bro.
Yeah. Perfect, Dan. Thank you so much, and we'll keep in touch.
Much, Thank you, Ben. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan.
Likewise. Thank you. Take care, guys.
There we go. There we go. There we go.
There we go.
Good chat with Dan.
Lovely chat with
He's got
Dan.
a cool voice, isn't he?
Very cool voice. Kind of reminded
did
me
you-
of Taylor Hawkins somehow at little moments, but I don't know.
Okay.
The voice.
Okay.
But I don't know
I
why.
think just in general, like we chat and we think, oh, we're cool, and
I've
then
never thought that.
you go to America and you sound like the King of England.
Mm.
Oh, hello. Please, might I have some Twinkies? You know what I mean? You sound like, hey, how you doing? You're like, I'm very well, thank you.
Yeah.
It sounds. Dan's got a cool voice, man.
I like when people use the word cats. He can use the word cats to describe people. I thought that was very cool. If I did it, it wouldn't be cool. You know what I mean? He's like,
Now-
these cats come by, and then they're playing with those cats, and then these cats have got these cats going on. And I'm like, if I said it, people would be like, do you mean actual cats? And I'd be like, no, I mean like the
'Cause
cool drummers. and
Winty's
that."
just got a cat
Well, yeah, exactly.
called Billy. Yeah, I love that. Vertical as well. I had no idea what
Love
that meant.
that. I love that.
Don't know if that's just an American thing. I don't know if anyone in the UK uses that. But I definitely look at my calendar and I have a vertical of summer weddings on Saturdays. But that's good, isn't it? A vertical. What would we call it? A residency? Would it?
yeah, or
Like a regular slot,
Well, I think residency is still used in America. I think, does he refer to just as the calendar? So, like,
Well,
our podcast
I
is a
took it
vertical
as
on a
in-
Thursday.
It'll be like, plays that venue every Wednesday.
Mm.
Like
No, I took it as that as
hotel.
well. But I mean, like, residency would be like perhaps synonymous. That's not the right use of the word. I don't even know if that's how you say the word. But
probably
with
not. Probably not.
gigs, with gigs, whereas vertical could perhaps be anything. So, like, our podcast
Could be both. Could be both.
is a vertical on a Thursday. You know,
Yeah.
Who
Maybe.
knows?
But that was
Anyway,
very cool. And I had to just
very
ask him because I wasn't sure.
I know. I thought it was his band. I thought when he said, "Oh, we had the vertical," and I was like, "Is that what they were called?" You know.
Yeah.
But
Right, do you want a little story?
yeah,
Do you want a little
please.
story?
Well, should we do
I-
a backstory in case people haven't heard this story very quickly? What
Yeah,
was
people
it?
haven't heard. So a bully from my school passed away earlier this year. And what amused me about the situation was that his sister, who, for a friend of a friend, posted about his funeral, and then the next day posted her excitement at getting tickets to Imagine Dragons, which is just, I found fascinating. Right, I've got an update. This goes, right. So, I work with a band here at the studio, and I've got to get this done really quick. I work with a band in the studio, and when I recorded them earlier in the year, we worked out we went to the same school, but they were in the couple of years above. Anyway, so with that established that connection, they were in rehearsing the other night, and the bass player came in, and he said, "Oh, do you remember? Did you hear what happened to Person X?" And I said, "Yeah, I heard he passed away." And he said, "Yeah, I knew his sister and blah blah blah, and I
Knew them quite a lot growing up.
And I was like, "Do you know what happened?"
And he said,
"Yeah, well," he said, "they believe he took his own life."
Okay.
right,
But he then said, "But the annoying thing is that he was booked in to fit my kitchen on the Monday, and he killed himself on Saturday. So I'd ripped out my entire kitchen, and then the guy coming to fit the new one killed himself 2 days before he was meant to start work."
Is that wrong to laugh about?
I know. I don't know how I feel about it. I feel really ambiguous because it's, tragic.
Yeah.
But
Fuck.
we all hate Mondays. But a bit much.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
so I don't know how to feel about
Wow.
it, but I had to say because I found it quite fascinating. But then he went on to say, so Homebase designed his kitchen, and they found a new contractor to come in, and all Homebase fucked up all the measurements, and it took ages and loads of money. And then, so he was trying to get a discount with Homebase. And then when they wanted to start paying, Homebase went into administration. So he's like, I think I might get a free kitchen out of it. Oh dear, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. What a story. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. And I can't not share that. I can't not share it. So I apologise.
Oh my
God. You know, obviously, it's very sad that, you know, someone took their own life. That's what's believed. But the kitchen thing, oh God. Anyway, I'm going to leave it on that note. Thanks for listening to Drummer Drummer.
We all hate Mondays.
If you're ever in Florida, if you're ever in Florida, in Orlando, near the vicinity of Daytona Beach, go and see Dan at the drum shop. He's an absolute legend. Email us in drummerdrummerpod@gmail.com. Keep following us on Instagram. Tell your friends. 5-star reviews. And we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Drum and Drummer. You can find us on Instagram at Drum and Drummer Podcast. And you can send us an email to drumanddrummerpod@gmail.com. Remember, just pick up the sticks and twat it.